Hello to my friends over at Face to Face Games. This is Travis Semulin Sowers. We're jumping into another best of three traditional AFR draft on MTG Arena. Thank you to Face to Face for sponsoring this content. Be sure to check out their weekly deals and buy something. They got cool stuff. So, shop there. I've had nothing but good experiences with Fossifos. I have only been to the Montreal store, but was quite impressed with everything there. They even had food. It's a cool place. I'm maybe a little bit rusty on AFR. I've been drafting Ikoria for a while. That was one of my favorite sets. It was kind of re-released in Best of One, and we had some fun. But I think I remember that Juan T. Malison is pretty powerful. It's sort of competing with the Hunter's Mark, and then I think the Red Dragon is a bit of a distant third. And the power level of all three of these is much higher than any of the commons that we see in this pack. Like Planar Ally, Celestial Urnikern, Sylvan Shepherd, Herald of Vidar, these are fine cards, but they're just not in the same level as these folks up here. Last experience was people were still undervalued in blue, so it wouldn't surprise me if they still are. It's kind of how people do. Reaver C? Yes, Reaver C. Okay. Don't know what you take over Meteor Swarm. But I know what I take over Meteor Swarm, and there's nothing in this pack. So we're going to start there. Now, it is the day after a pretty big patch, so it's possible there's some people having connection issues, which may impact how a draft would go. But I thought the draft would auto-pick rares for you if you got disconnected. Because we've tested this and done chair drafts on stream where I just don't pick any cards. Now, I like Displacer Beast a good bit, but I think we have some interest in trying to make sure that we stay red here for that Meteor Swarm. And it's far more likely to wheel than anything else. So this is a bit higher than I'd like to pick the Hoarding Ogre. I think the Displacer Beast and the Planar Ally are probably better cards, generally speaking. But for where we are now, with Meteor Swarm sitting over here, I think it's time to get Hoarding. It's an interesting one, because we are kind of set up to do blue-red things, eh? I have not found this to be an amazing card. It's okay. Because what's weird to me is I kind of want to take the Windseer. Like, you can build around it some. Why couldn't this have been a 4-3? If it's a 4-3 with this text, I think it's pretty good. As a 3-3, you have to be rolling. But let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Because I have a feeling that we can probably make that happen. That'll let us cast our Meteor Swarm again. I'm going to dream big. I think we're just in on blue-red dice rolling now. So, I don't know, a Charmed Sleep or two. A couple of the 2-1s that tap things down, and we're ready to party. Ideally, we can wheel a few of the gens as well. This doesn't really have anything that I'm excited about. Like, we'll play the Barbarian, but the pack also is pretty unexciting, right? It's a bit of an underwhelming pack. So there's no real signal here that oh my god, we should be doing something else. It's more like, okay, this pack doesn't have anything powerful in it, and that's fine. Not every pack's going to be a winner. Right now, we've really only got the 2 dice rolling cards for Farida. Farida? I don't really know how to say that. I'm pretty sure that's Tiefling for Sally, so we're going to call her Sally. Now, here's where things get weird. Because Cleric class shouldn't still be here. It is way better than 7th pick. But what am I supposed to do with this? Realistically, I'm probably supposed to take Contact Other Plane and move along with my life, but I'm not thrilled about it. I also don't like more than one Contact Other Plane in the deck, generally speaking, but I do want to get the instant and sorcery count high enough that the Mind Sorcerer can consistently grab something. I could use some 2s as well. I haven't found the Brazen Dwarf to be that crucial to this build. I have in fact had blue-red decks similar to this that had no 2-drops and were fine. But they had a bunch of the 2/1 Frostlinks variants, which we do not have. I don't hate Bar the Gate. I don't hate Soul Knife Spy. I think it's a little easier to pick up the Bar the Gate later. So I'll take the Spy here. And it's worth noting that red got cut a little bit after the Meteor Swarm was passed. My guess is that was still some sort of disconnect or flub. However it works, we haven't passed any good red. So I think we could expect to see some coming back. I don't hate a Windfall. And this could even open us up to splashing with treasures. I'm not opposed to making a splash. Hoarding Ogre came back. That's interesting. I was thinking we might spin the Earth Cult Elemental out of this pack. But looks like if we can just grab, I don't know, 2 2-drops, a couple removal spells, we're basically good to go. I like where this is going. Both of these are cards that, like, there's nothing to say anything bad about them, but I just never end up playing either of them. It's kind of weird. It's like they both seem like they should be fine, but they're kind of just meh. All right, we got us an Earth Cult Elemental. Yeah, I think we need a couple 2-drops, a Dragonfire, a Charmed Sleep. I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen those. It feels like blue isn't exactly, like red-blue is open, but blue isn't exactly open. I'm usually happy having one of these, and I don't have to play this Farida. If we don't get enough dice rollers, I can just let it go. Now that's something. That is a late game plan in and of itself. I think it's frankly just a better Contact Other Plane. And I want it. So I'm going to take it. Easy peasy. This is not really the stuff I need, although it's cool. I think we just need a Hobgoblin Captain. Like, let's just make sure we don't die in the early game. And this could give us accidental, like, aggressive draws, which I'm pretty happy about. Like, sometimes you'll just draw Hobgoblin Captain into Soul Knife Spy and be able to kill people. Den of the Booger Bear versus Battlecry Goblin. Man, that's a tough decision. They're both so good. Man, I feel like people are going to be screaming at their monitor when I take the Den of the Bugbear, but the creature land is more valuable to me. The Battlecry Goblin is really good. Like, it's incredibly good. But getting to play an extra creature in my land slot is also incredibly good. I could respect you for taking the Battlecry Goblin. That's I think, close but clear. All right, so black is opening up this direction, which doesn't surprise me. We didn't see any of it. But I think Dragon's Fire is one of the cards I referenced wanting. because our removal suite's pretty bad other than the one meteor swarm. So let's get that in there. I do feel like I'm kind of getting cut off from, on both sides from blue. Which is funny to me. Okay, we're now at the point where I think a Brazen Dwarf makes it in because I'm worried about getting a density of 2 drops. I just need to have enough playables. If we get better stuff, I'll cut it. But if we don't, he'll be fine. I think that the Brazen Dwarf might have been better in a format where one of the color pairs wasn't all about gaining life. Because you'll have incidental life gain in white and green, and it makes the 1 damage basically irrelevant. You're not winning by pinging somebody to death 1 damage at a time. You're winning by establishing board dominance and then smacking them in the face with a 4/5. This is probably a little more aggressive than I would have originally built this deck, but again, we may have aggressive openers and I'm going to need some more 3s, so welcome in. Don't really need the Cell Sword. Could probably play a Bar the Gate. Oh, that's a late Burning Hands. I mean, there's still some possibility that we ditch the blue. I still love the idea of like getting back Meteor Swarm with the Mind Sorcerer. So I may not be able to make myself do it, and we do have the Malison. Like, if I was going to ditch blue, it would have been for the black in this pack, but I just had better options in red. And the deck of many things is incredibly powerful. I have had the opportunity to play with this before. It's good. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it. That ogre's got like kind of a creepy looking grin. I have played these cards. I usually like this in red-white. I don't care for it so much outside of that. I've already got a counterspell, so maybe we would play Shocking Grasp. Although, to be fair, the looting side of this is more valuable than I originally thought it would be. Most of my blue decks, I'm pretty happy to be playing a Conjurer, so I don't see why we wouldn't put one in here. At least give us protection from all of the charmed sleeps that everyone else is taking. Ooh, we got 1 Air Cult Elemental and 1 Fireball. I think I'd rather have the Air Cult Elemental. Hey, and a Pixie Guide. Look at that curve. It's working out. So from here, we're basically looking for upgrades. So like if I can turn the Brazen Dwarf into something a little better, I think I'd be happy about it. Hand of Vecna, huh? Sure. Let's do it. So what are we not excited to play but can play? I suspect Contact Other Planes, Bar the Gate, the Dwarf. One of these two. Because I would want a couple more 2-drops for this, but I'd want them to be like better 2-drops, I think. There's a Varus. So green was pretty open too. This is a really solid 3. Like even just coming down and giving you a scry is nice. And I have boing boing boinged them quite a bit. I don't think there's much else for us here. Not 100% certain we get to play all of these 3s. What the heck, man? This is one of those cards that you get and you're like, wait a minute, why am I playing blue? Could I splash it? Are we going to see enough green cards? Because my removal's not in blue. I'm losing an Arcane Investigator or a Windseer. Let's talk. Let's talk. Because we just said we got enough cards, right? Imagine we're green-red. Just for a moment. I don't think we actually are, though. I think we may be splashing this Rangers class. Yeah, I think we might be splashing this Rangers class and using this Evolving Wilds to do it. Okay, that's a little more reasonable. Because I think this is still worth having, even if it's incredibly late game. I think I like the second Pixie Guide. Which is saying something, because normally I don't, but the evasion with the Hand of Vecna is pretty neat. So if this is the deck, I think I can get behind it. We've ended up somewhere I'm happy. This will work. I can work with this. There is another 2-drop if we want one. We might have to cut one of these fellows. I'd probably want to keep the Conjurer and trim that. This is really tough. I gotta take the Veteran. I don't know for sure if we're playing it or not. I know I want access to it, so we can make the deck more or less aggressive. The Bugbear helps with that plan too. He should be in here. Like, we're gonna have to go through and think about cuts, but that's certainly something I'm happy to think about. I'm guessing green was actually open here. That's a really good 2 as well. This card gets a lot of disrespect, and I don't understand why. It's a 2-mana 2/1. What do you want out of your 2-drops? It trades with most of the other 2-drops and some 3s. And if you happen to flood out, ideally, you don't have extra mana to dump into this. I don't want to do it either. But if you happen to have the extra mana and this is still laying there, by all means, use it. That wheeling is good for us. So I can't tell you what was actually open. No idea. I guess having access to this is fine too. So I kind of want to keep the Rampy Creature if I'm going to play both 6-drops, right? I've been playing 18 lands in a lot of AFR drafts. I'm not entirely sure that I need to with this one because I think the Hoarding Ogres can help smooth that out a little bit. We've got way too many creatures, and I think they should be the cuts. There's also an Unexpected Windfall to help. Normally, I would not want to splash a class when I'm only going to have 2 sources for it, but most of the ways that I can get treasure actually make me 2 treasures. Like, generally speaking, the Hoarding Ogre has a chance to do that, and if I play both Pixie Guides, the chance is even higher. So I think I'm okay splashing the Ranger class off of 1 forest. We'll sort that out in a moment. I have too many 3s and too many 2s, and we need to adjust what we're actually going to do here. I think my guess is that I don't need the Armory Veteran. I don't need the Soul Knife Spy. I probably have to cut the Bugbear too, just to make the mana a little better. Because this is a little bit better with the flyers. I was trying to think of like what's good with Hand of Vecna, and the 3/2 that draws cards when it connects is good, but like everything's good with Hand of Vecna. I think the only thing we give like a small nod to is the unblockable nature of 1 and the Pixie Guides. I mean, frankly, all of these 2-drops are amazing with it except the Investigator, and it's still just fine. So what would our last cut be? I could cut one of these too. But that makes me want to cut the Conjurer. Maybe the Conjurer is actually the cut. Yeah, I don't think I need it if we're going to use the mana from Hulking Ogre to try to resolve these. So I think we can be pretty happy with that. Important choice is which sleeves are you going to use? And I'm going to use these, obviously. I think they look great. All right, and we need to build a mana base for this. I think we're pretty happy with 1 forest. Because that's going to put us at 2.5, 3, 4 sources for the Ranger class, which I think is sufficient. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that would leave us room for 7, 8. Yeah, this will work. This will work. I want to go a little heavier red, somewhat obviously. We've got triple red and double red all over this deck. So might be a good idea to make sure we can cast these things. You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? Yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's party. Here we go. Sorry, I paused that. It was taking a while to find a match. And there you go. We got a draw. Neat. As I mentioned, there was just a major content patch. Well, I say major content patch. I don't think there was actually any content. But I've heard reports that there is a little bit of bugginess going on with Arena right now. That said, I'm going to be out of town for the next few days. So if I don't record today, y'all won't get a video this week. So we kind of got to do it now. We got to do it live. You know what I'm saying. All right, let's see what we can do here. Well, I like a lot of things about this hand. Basically, with one red, which is the color I have the most of, we could ramp to the deck of many things and get that going at least. If this doesn't draw a land, we're going to be hard-pressed to get work done. I guess it's just that kind of morning. They're probably communicating that life is better lived at a slower pace. And you know what? I'm okay with that. We can take our time. There's no rush, no worry. Yeah, take your time. Nothing to worry about. This hand does kind of describe why I like to play 18 million decks in this format. But I always knew that there was the mountain on top, so really nothing to worry about. Still wouldn't mind hitting a few more lands. To be fair, also getting this started super early may not be great because I'm more likely to just discard my hand, but... So now the question is, do I burn this to get the Ranger class going just to make a 2/2? Which I think is fine. Because as I mentioned, I don't really think I'm ramping into anything else. I kind of just need to flood out. So I think there's a pretty compelling argument to just play the Ranger class now. Get my 2/2. If we happen to draw the forest, then we can get it going. I mean, that is the good news about Ranger class. It's weird to be splashing for a 2/2, but it at least does something if you don't level it up. Trade off the token here. It's unlikely that they're playing a bounce spell or whatnot, but if they're gonna, like, go land bounce something, I'd way rather it be the Barbarian. Like, it's done its job now. Right, we kind of have to hold back because we're not drawing the lands, but it's pretty safe to block this in the face of a combat trick because we have Zabunding Hands. But I suspect if we don't start stringing together some lands here, we're going to be in danger. I don't really care that much about their life total. Just that the board presence is getting away from us. Because these are all fine trades by my estimation so far. Show me some lands, gosh darn it. So you telling me in the top 12 cards of this 17 land deck, there was 3 of them. I don't know that I believe that. I may need to fire this off on that bullet now, even though it could get better things later, because this game is going to be over if I don't just start chaining lands, which means I would need to play Faraday next turn into the Mind Sorcerer. And now here's the question. Do I care about keeping this? And I think the answer is no. You got it. I need the bullet to be dead. We're just too far behind on land drops for this to work. Like, I have to go land, 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 and be making plays. Or we're going to lose. And it looks like we're going to lose, and that's okay. But that was a situation where we're trying to decide what do we need to do in exactly that spot. And I think it's plan on ripping a bunch of lands. Because if we do rip a bunch of lands, we'd be going 4, 5, 6, and just never have time to cast the Burning Hands. But this is actively impressive to go 14 cards deep and see 3 lands. Like, the deck is mostly land at this point. They just took 3 off the top, and one of them was a land. So in the top, what's that? 17, there were 4 lands. I suspect they toss one of the 1/3s. They should toss the Herbalist, which, again, could conceivably be good for us. It's just not great to be taking 6 damage repeatedly. Alright, we're starting to draw lands, and we need to play very carefully from here because I think we're quite likely to flood out for over the rest of the game. Which is great. I got good mana sinks. Our plan here is to try to stay alive. Which it looks like we may be able to do. No, thank you. Top 20 cards, there were 4 lands. Well, 5. Okay, there were 5. So there are now 12 left in the deck. And we kind of need to find them, yo. Look at that. Lands and stuff. Still need them lands. It's conceivable that we win this game, which would be very satisfying because they good gamed me earlier. And I love winning after somebody GG's me. That makes me incredibly happy. What would we pitch here? Presumably the Earth Cult. this is pretty satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. I am a very happy Travis right now. Let's roll them. Why not? Were they oopsing me because I did something stupid? I'm not sure. But I do stupid things all the time. It is not hurting me. Probably could have made him jump. Alright, no reason to show him any more cards. That was satisfying. We just had to hold on, and we got there. That was a great game. I think they also got a bit lax there and assumed they were winning because I missed some land drops, which is, I mean, in some cases, a fair assumption. But it didn't work out too good for him there. I think the deck functions, especially if it can stall for that long and still get there. I think it's pretty good shape. There's a little bit of a downside in that one of my sources of card advantage is the deck of many things. They've got a main deck answer for, and there's some argument for cutting the Hand of Vecna on the draw. I actually kind of like that. I think I like that a good bit in favor of a solid blocker against them. Because I think we're losing a lot of... Their deck looks like it wants to start curving out and beating down. Admittedly, we saw 1-3s and 2-3s. It is what it is, but I want to minimize the variance. Hand of Vecna is really good when you're ahead. I'm not convinced that we can definitively be ahead at all stages in the game. So let's instead bring in a card that will just be good to decent on curve. And while we're at it, we'll have all the colors of the rainbow. They've got a lot of hate for my artifacts. But of course, after just saying I'm not sure that we can get ahead and stay ahead, we're slightly ahead, but... And now we aren't. That thing's pretty good. And I don't have a solid answer to it because we don't have any Charmed Sleeps in this deck, which is a real problem. I think our answer is going to need to be to get a lot of value out of the deck of many things, which means emptying my hand as fast as possible. So I think we just go 4-drop into 6-drop here. I'm going to have to block that thing, which sucks. Hoarding Ogre could allow me to get most of my hand emptied. And Dragonfire gives me a 2-mana way to deal with it, so Ideally, we could do both of these in the same turn. But I think we keep these. That troll I'm actually terrified of. They should absolutely attack me with it. Alright, so I think here we get the 6/6 down, swing in the air, see if they'd like to make the trade. Then we're looking at Hoarding Ogre and Dragon's Fire. Ideally, we high roll and don't have to sacrifice anything. Does that mean that I just use the Dragon's Fire this turn and play the Displacer Beast? Because Displacer Beast and Bugbear could double block that. Yeah, I might be happier with that, because if this goes wrong, well, see, that's the downside. If it goes wrong, but I don't have a 6/6 in play, and that just blocks everything. So I'm still going to have to Earth Cult this turn. Ideally, we high roll and don't have to sacrifice anything. That'd be perfect. Hex, yeah. Hex, yeah. This is going nicely. I wonder if they double trade these, because the Ogre can't exactly get in as it stands. I also want to give him more time to play out artifact removal before I play the deck, because I think this might be our end game. Okay, that just gives him a block and sack, which isn't great for me. Take your time. I got nowhere to be. Grab you a leg. Alright, so I think I'm still on Hoarding Ogre, hold up Dragon's Fire. I could still attack with the Earth Cult Elemental now. Actually, that seems like a great idea. Because if they want to double block, I can just get a clean 2-for-1 here. And if they want to take 6, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. I had assumed they were going to pump the Shepherd and send it in, because that would gain them about the same amount of life. But maybe they don't want to trade it for one of these. I would be happy to in their position. Like, I think attacking with the Shepherd and the Owlbear would have been good there. That's interesting. They may not be aware that you can block and do that, but you can block and do that. I imagine it's there to work with their bullet. Den. I like this block. It's a good block. 2-for-1. Engage. Hands empty, deck's about ready to party. So do we want to scry? Yeah, I guess I take a scry. Thing is, I'd take almost anything here, but I'd rather have something better than a 2-drop. I'm less scared of the troll now, for what it's worth. Also noticing that the opponent's on a 41 card special. So they may have just played everything they drafted. That could explain some of the interesting play options that we've seen. I have bumped into people who thought it was a good idea to play more than 40 cards and had all these rationales built up in their head about why you should play more stuff. And it all basically worked out to they didn't understand what statistics are. That timing was off too. This is a lot of little stuff that they could be doing better. But it's not the end of the world. Maybe they'll watch a video by me and learn how to play better. And maybe in 10 years I can watch a video by them and learn how to play better. You never know, you know? Boop. I think they have to block the 6/6 with their troll. And they're getting close to dead here. Boop. And that one, unlike the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, is not a May. If you low roll, it's going on top of your library, whether you want it there or not. Get in there, buddy. You're the one that attacked. But do what you gotta do. Not a bad first round. Let's see what round 2 has in store for us. There we are. I will play first. I will keep this hand. Been playing on my free-to-play account for a little bit, and I kind of miss having the pet. If you haven't checked that out, that was actually a really interesting experience because Wizards recently gave everyone 3 free best-of-1 drafts as long as you knew about them. You could do an Amonkhet remastered, a Kaladesh remastered, and an Ikoria draft for free on Arena. And that got me thinking, is that enough that I could take a free-to-play account to Mythic? If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, check out my YouTube channel. You can just Google Semulin YouTube and watch the Draft Hero series, because that's exactly what I tried to do. That's a little scary, given that my 4-drop trades with their 2-drop. Now, I've not seen any reason for anyone ever to play Dungeon Descent, but they could just be a mono-red deck. So we're taking at least 6 damage off of this, maybe 9. Right on time, ye bastard. Because I think if I don't land the Earth Cult Elemental next turn, we're probably toast. Can't block it. Would have preferred more. High roll! Okay, they did find a good use for Dungeon's Descent. Just didn't have anything, huh? I suspect we're going to Dragonfire that Sellsword. But let's see what they do first. Okay. It's a Javelinia, eh? May as well kill the thing that doesn't have haste. Or, I mean, kill the thing that has haste, Dur. I don't think I need this in play. So I'll save this to get the Ranger class going. I imagine they're just dead, but we'll see. See, here's the issue with the Dungeon Descent. Who knows how many black cards are sitting with in hand there that they could have played but didn't get the opportunity to do so because they were playing Dungeon Descent. I mean, I guess they had treasures, so maybe not that many. But I'm just saying, you can't put cards like Dungeon Descent in your deck and not expect it to go well for you. Again, I want to cut the Hand of Vecna and bring in the Rhyme Master. I suppose that's one thing that makes the Hand of Vecna a little worse in mid-range decks, is you're likely to be behind if you're playing a mid-range deck in this format. Because whatever people are doing, it seems like a lot of them are trying to be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. I was trying to figure out why I liked Ikoria so much as a set, and I think it's the last set we've had in recent memory that had 0 equipment in it. It's okay for you to like equipment. I know there's a lot of people that do, but I don't care for equipment, and I think that made it more fun to me to just have a removal spell actually always be good and kill the thing that you wanted it to kill. It felt more like Magic to me than anything we've had in a while. I think we only got a no equipment set because they felt like equipment and mutate would not have played well together, and I think they're probably right. Got an interesting decision about whether we go for the Ogre or the Windseer next turn. I think I like the Ogre better. Now I kind of want to play the Windseer and Scry and trade the Windseer off for the Sellsword and get the Ogre going later, because I just need to hit lands and cast this crap, and we probably win. So yeah, don't need you. Do need you. Because the Rhyme Master will do some work here. I still think I'm supposed to trade this off. Because it's just a 5/5, right? So I can kind of eventually deal with that. I don't need Farida. Yeah, I don't. How in the world are they not attacking there? It seems crazy to me, but we'll take it. Verbal Sword's another card I've come down on somewhat. Reaper's Talisman is just somewhat obviously better. It's cute with the Javelineer, like I can basically never block it. But I don't know that cute and good are the same thing. Yeah, if I bounce their Sellsword, even though they could replay it with haste, I get a hell of an attack in on them, which I think I'm about. Because I think I have somehow become the aggressor against this deck, which was really not prepared for, but here we are. It's like, that's a lot of damage, yo. Good use of the goblin. I like it. Drider, Drider, Drider. You'll get destroyed by Dragonfire. Drider, Drider, Drider. Get him. Not too shabby. So far, we have not even gotten to cast our Meteor Swarm. But those Splash Rangers class has done some work, eh? I don't mulligan a lot, but this is one that's got to go back. It's a one-lander on the play. Don't care for that. This one I think we keep and we send back the Valor Singer. Because both of these give me scries to get towards cards that matter. And I'd rather have the 4 lands than worry about making the land drops. Displacer Beast trades slightly better, but not a lot better. Hello, Robert. We will indeed take our scry. I don't think I want a 2-drop right now. I think I'd rather hit land or something more impactful. Like, that's not a 2-drop that does a lot late game. I mean, I'm interested in the Ranger class, but this hand is never resolving it. So I think it's got to... I mean, I guess I could go deck of many things next turn and hold on to it. Yeah, it'll close out a game eventually, especially if we're just going to be activating this for a little bit. Which I think we're going to be doing. Worst case scenario, we discard it, eh? I suppose the Pixie is cute with the deck to make sure that we don't roll a 1, but... Alright, we'll do some blocking now. That Herald is something I'll need to deal with, and I don't have a lot of great ways to deal with it, because I can just sit there and activate it and hit me for 2 each turn. That'll get a Ranger class in play, which I dig. I mean, I guess I'm hitting them for 2 as well. So, like, it's still going. Yeah, why not? So that's what you're doing, eh? It's worth 2 for wanting myself to get rid of that. They've reversed fate. They think they're ahead. We'll see if they actually are. I feel like we're in good shape here. Yeah, I feel like we probably got this one. Get all the way to blocks and then scoop. I like it. Not much of a sideboard plan here, but again, I'm wondering about the Hand of Agno, which may mean that this doesn't just go in any deck, but I don't want it on the draw here. I just want crap to block. I may want the Armory Veteran against them, though, as they have 1/3s and 2/2s that I need to block, as opposed to the other decks, which were playing larger things for me to block. I just need crap to trade off in the early game, and I probably win the late game with the stack. That's slow, but it can work. I say slow because it doesn't have a 2-drop. Like, what has this format done to my brain? It's okay to not have a 2-drop. That shouldn't mean you're automatically dead. We don't care about 50 feet of rope, although I do suspect they have a Thieves' Tools in there, so we're going to hold on to the Barbarian a little bit if we can. Which I think we can. It's way too early in the game for them to be using... okay, there. You did it. They found a good use for 50 feet of rope. Sup, Harold? Harold don't want to block. All right. Harold don't have to block. Harold just wants to get activated. Put me in, coach. Their plan may literally be that. I think I'm still supposed to develop the board here. It was tempting to play this out, so next turn I could play that and roll it. But I think I can still, yeah, I can still do that. And that'll give her potentially flying, right? Oh no, it just gives her flying. So if they activate again, we can probably just swing team and get pretty close to killing them. Okay. I feel like this is acceptable. Because if this doesn't drain, they're just dead. Okay, it drained. So they're not just dead. But they'd be close. If I swing with all of them, they have to chump with their Pixie Guide, making it a little less likely that they can continue to chain high rolls on Herald. Which I think I'm happy with. Generally speaking, I like Herald of Hadar. It has not looked particularly great here. There's some cards that are mana sinks that we've seen in the past where it's like if you have the mana to activate them, that's just what you keep doing. And then there's other cards where like sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that, and Herald kind of fits there. It's like if you same thing with Arcane Investigator. It's like if you've got the extra mana, it's nice to be able to activate them, but it's not what you should be doing. So I'm presuming they just didn't have anything else to do, which is a bit unfortunate for them, but pretty fortunate for us, because that's a 3-0. And pretty happy about that. So big thanks to you guys and gals for watching, and to Fossifos Games for supporting the content that I produce. I will be looking for you here next week where we will do another draft. And if you'd like to check out my stream, you can find it at twitch.tv/Semulin. Thank you, folks. Hope you all have a good week. I'll see you next time.